4 shuttle flights were scheduled to take equipment to the International Space Station this year. Those flights now on hold until the end of the investigation. The International Space Station is the centerpiece of NASA's international program. The first module was taken into space by a Russian Proton rocket in November of 1998. The first American component, called Unity, was taken to space by the shuttle Endeavour a month later. The space station has been due for completion in 3 years' time. It's been described as one of the greatest engineering feats in history. The International Space Station is expected to cost almost $100 billion over its lifetime, but NASA's annual budget has fallen dramatically over the past decade. Last year, an expert panel warned that safety problems were likely if NASA did not receive more funding. The White House has also acknowledged it received a safety warning from a former NASA official. Tim O'Brien has the report.
The shuttle space program has been squeezed, along with NASA's budget, now just over $15 billion, down some 40% over the last decade. No replacement shuttles have been in development. Rather, NASA planned to extend the life of its 4 aging shuttles by an additional 25 years without sacrificing safety.
We're worried about safety every single day in this agency. There's not a single flight that takes off without going through a very, very rigid, extremely methodical safety regime of what's involved.
Under pressure to cut costs, NASA shifted many of its duties to the private sector. United Space Alliance, a joint venture set up by Lockheed Martin and Boeing in 1996, is by far the biggest single contractor on the shuttle. A year and a half ago, the company's chief operating officer had an ominous warning for the Senate Subcommittee on Science, Technology, and Space. I am more pessimistic today than I have been in the 17 years I've been doing this. The ice is getting thinner under our feet as we move towards the middle of this lake. Safety, in short, was being compromised by budget cuts. One prominent Democrat on the subcommittee blames the Clinton administration for holding up NASA funds.
It goes back to the previous administration. They have delayed, as a result of that, the safety upgrades to the space shuttle. We've been raising Cain up here about this for well over a year and a half, and the NASA Safety Advisory Panel just came out a few months ago and said the same thing.
Last April, Richard Blumberg, then chairman of NASA's Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel, told Congress, "I have never been as worried for space shuttle safety as I am right now." And in its most recent report, the panel told Congress, the current and proposed budgets are not sufficient to improve or even maintain the safety risk level of operating the space shuttle. In a letter to President Bush last August, one retired NASA engineer warned of the potential for a shuttle catastrophe.
The other warning signs were that we've had for the last 4 years of cracks in the main engines, the electrical wiring failures, and just numerous things like that. That's what I put in the letter to the President.
Only last week, the General Accounting Office issued a report saying NASA's management of its major contractors was weak and debilitating. We may never know whether these chilling concerns played any part in the Columbia disaster. Some at NASA acknowledge they were hurt by the budget cuts, but the agency is emphatic safety would never be knowingly compromised. Lou?
Tim, thank you very much. Tim O'Brien from Washington. Russian officials today said they would shelve their plans to carry tourists to the International Space Station. Russia, however, said it will deliver and retrieve long-term crews aboard Station Alpha. An unmanned Russian supply ship blasted off yesterday. It will deliver supplies, the Progress cargo ship, to the International Space Station. Americans Ken Bowersox, Donald Pettit, and cosmonaut Nikolai Budarin are aboard the station. They were supposed to return to Earth on March 1st aboard the shuttle Atlantis. All shuttle missions have now been put on hold. NASA says there are enough supplies on board the space station to last until the end of June. The Progress cargo ship is to dock with the International Space Station tomorrow. You still have time to vote in our poll tonight. The question, do you agree with the President's decision to raise NASA's budget? Cast your vote at CNN.com/Moneyline. We'll have the preliminary results for you. Now here are the results of tonight's Moneyline poll. The question, do you agree with the President's decision to increase NASA's budget? 89% of you said yes. 11% said no. And now a few thoughts on the clamor that is now building up around the investigation of this tragedy. Not even 3 days have passed since the crew of Columbia died returning to Earth. Already we're trying desperately to find answers to how this disaster occurred, why, and what can be done to prevent another like it. Critics of the space program within a day focused on NASA's management and all but accused them of negligence and, in some cases, indifference to the lives of the astronauts. Now those critics are asking if the mission was worth the loss of 7 lives, whether space travel and exploration should continue. To some, all of this is unseemly and disrespectful of the memory of the 7 astronauts who died Saturday. To me, I must tell you, it's not only not unseemly, but natural and appropriate, and absolutely in keeping with the lives and the careers of these 7 remarkable people. To a person, the crew of STS-107 represented the best of who we are. They were educated in mathematics, engineering, and natural sciences. Among them, pilots, scientists, engineers, mothers and fathers, and doctors. They were rationalists who dedicated their lives to education and training in pursuit of knowledge and its use, and the imperative of our species to explore and to understand. They were without doubt idealists, believing in their country, their religion, their mission. I believe they would want the hard and important questions answered, and even the insulting and absurd questions, because sometimes further knowledge can spring in surprising ways from the most unlikely sources and directions. NASA has many tough questions to answer, and I hope they will continue to be as open as in the first days of this tragedy. Only in answering all the questions we can in the days, weeks, and months ahead can we truly honor these 7 who represented the very best of our humanity and who died trying to make us better. That's Moneyline for this Monday evening.